Hello, everybody. I'll wait till some people get on. Just trying to pass the day. Ninety degrees here in South Carolina. In the meantime, I'll do something else. Wow, 93 degrees. Precipitation 15%, humidity 48%, winds 3 miles. I'll pop in the chat every once in a while. See who's on. Tropical Storm Grace, August 14th, 2 p.m. Maximum winds 45 miles an hour. Movement west at 23 miles. And the pressure is 1,008 millibars. Hello. What's up there, Cold Steel Truth? Yeah, this is a wild one. %, they end in crashes. I'm just amazed at how they just run. No regard to the public whatsoever or to themselves. Half of the time, they don't even know where they're going. Drive around in circles, jump out of cars, get SWAT involved. I just laugh. I've seen some wild, wild police chases. Entertaining, you know. Whoa. See that? They're good drivers. I'll give them that. They know how to drive, but they know they're going to get caught. They're going to wind up hitting a telephone pole, hitting another car, hitting buildings, getting flat tires. He missed. How you doing, Cold Truth? Cold Steel. Sorry, missed the word. My apologies. You know, they can lose the police cars, but you can't lose a helicopter. Come on now. Have some common sense. Well, I don't know what this guy did, but they got no common sense. I don't know what that is. Nissan, maybe? I like Nissans. Rented a Nissan. Nice pickup. Don't know. Trying to look at the emblem on the back of the car. Boom. Told you. Told you. I knew it. I knew it. Run. Uh, 100-yard dash. 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Climb a tree. They'll never catch you. Oh, I can't run no more. Maybe if I climb a tree, act like a squirrel, they'll never get me. Oh, he gave up too soon. You're going to the pokey. Where's the driver at? Or the passenger? I don't know. I can't remember if that was the passenger. Hey, Dawn. How's it going, girl? You're going to have a good harvest. This is, hold on, let me, San Dimas, California. Car chase of the car chase capital of the world. Code 4. Did they really think they were going to get away from the police? Do they ever? It just amazes me. I seen one video. They were running from the cops. There was two people. I think they ran out of gas or they gave up. But they had two SWAT trucks. One in front, one in the back, blocking them. Got three. Oh, yeah. Romaine lettuce. Yeah. Yeah, I was involved in a hit and run last 2020. I was going into Wendy's. Guy was coming out of Cookout across the street, hit me, backed up, made a U-turn, took off. Cops took 15 minutes to get to where I was because they were looking for him. Never found them. Never found them. I think you've seen my car, Dawn. Passenger side quarter panel, the front. Hey, can I call my mom? I know they are idiots. Yeah, my car, the insurance company was going to pay for the repairs, but then they changed their mind. They reviewed it again and they totaled the car. Maybe he was in a hurry to get a pizza. Well, that's good. I'm glad you were all right. Okay. Looks like the end of the car chase. Uh, let's see here. I don't want to play something too long. This one's 25.
All right, we are interrupting that news story to bring you this breaking news. A high-speed pursuit underway in the Southgate area. Stu Mandellup and Skyfox looks like it's slowed down. Oh, the bumper itself.
No, Marla, this thing has not slowed down at all. That plate on that vehicle is a cold plate, meaning it comes back to an Audi. That clearly not this vehicle. Now, this started probably a good 30 minutes ago, maybe more. We were being respectful following that procession for the fallen law enforcement. This started up in the LAPD area. The vehicle was moving extremely fast. The LAPD was chasing it, but it got onto the freeway relatively quickly, and that was one of the reasons why law enforcement stayed with this car. But at one point got off the freeway, South LA area, and this high speeds, too many close calls, they backed off. Everybody backed off, and then actually the other LAPD units saw this car speeding, tried to stop it, not aware that this was a vehicle from an earlier pursuit, and it continually law enforcement saying, do not chase this vehicle, just too dangerous. Well, in the end, law enforcement, LAPD, stayed above it. Now you can see why they were backing off. That bumper hanging off, I wish I knew the reason why. I'm going to take a look and see if we get some information from some of our friends down on the ground. But you can see right there, this vehicle still moving very, very quickly. Now off on Garfield, very fast. It's a newer BMW, so you know this car's got some power, and it basically has been eluding law enforcement. Now, Sheriff's Department, that's where we are right now. This would be the area that would be chasing it, but because of these high speeds and because of the danger to the public, they basically decided to back off. And Marla, this kind of, this is one of those things where us in the media, we follow these things, we see what's going on, but the reality is this person is running from nobody, running from his own demons, as it would be, because these high speeds are not warranted. He might know that there's a helicopter above him, he might know that something's going on, but of course he does not see anybody on the ground. You can see he's making his way a little bit farther away from us. Our pilot today, Adam, and Vinny on the camera, we're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to try to listen in, but you can see what law enforcement is dealing with today.
Yeah, so even though the ground units have backed off, this guy is keeping his foot on the pedal, blowing through these intersections, high traffic volume on these surface streets, now in the Downey Norwalk area. So now we're getting on a freeway perhaps here, Stu?
It looks like he's getting on a freeway. He was paralleling a lot of them. It definitely making it way onto the freeway right now. I was just talking to Adam to make sure that he actually had the vehicle there on the ground. So what we saw earlier on the freeway is, you think he was going fast on the street? Wait till he actually gets onto the freeway. Marla, this is one of those ones, really, truly, it looks like he just got on and then off and then back onto the freeway. Excuse me, onto the freeway, then back off of the freeway. So we're right here at Somerset. But this is one of those ones where you just got to think to yourself, I never would double, I would never second guess any kind of law enforcement. And we just watch up here in the media, and we just, just a guy in a helicopter calling a pursuit, but any kind of law enforcement. And we just watch up here in the media, and we just, just a guy in a helicopter calling a pursuit. But this is one of the ones where this person clearly is continuing to be a danger to the public. And then the next question would be, well, Stu, if you were law enforcement, how would you stop it? Well, there's no way to actually do a pit maneuver. There's no way to get some, spike strips in front of this guy, especially at these high speeds and very random pattern out here. Just to make sure that you guys know where we are right now, we're going to be on the 105 freeway. We're going to be coming up onto the the 605 here in just a moment. We'll see which direction he goes. But this is one of those ones where you just got to kind of wonder, how are they going to stop it? Even if they did get involved, that clearly the backing off didn't slow this guy down. Clearly the backing off it didn't make this driver less reckless. So it is one of those ones where at least if there was law enforcement trailing, there would be lights and sirens. There'd be a little bit of acknowledgement to the public at large. And again, definitely not criticizing anybody on their decision-making process. But watch this guy. He just basically was riding that center lane there on the HOV, almost swapping paint with two other vehicles. Clearly doesn't have any regard for that vehicle and or anybody else's life as he's working his way probably up to 120 miles an hour. That's what our speedometer is saying right now. And it looks like we're going to either be getting off the freeway right now, or we're going to be taking a southbound transition, or we're going to stay on the freeway and take, we are going to be taking the southbound transition, it looks like. But this type of speeds, this type of recklessness, it makes me, it makes me realize I'm happy I'm the reporter and not have to make a decision on how they're going to stop this thing.
Well, and then it also makes you grateful that you're, or makes you feel for these unsuspecting drivers in the area.
Peppers.
No, definitely. And you know it is the truth. We watch these things all the time. I've mentioned it before. It's not drama. It's not I'm not trying to play up the situation. When these cars at these high speeds, even right here, you're just going, it's like you just don't want to see anybody get hurt. And he's moving so quickly. It is a BMW. It is more of a performance vehicle. But being driven this hard, that fast, for so long, things get hot. Things start to wear out. The driver's probably going to start becoming fatigued, and that just creates everything. Just builds onto the danger. Everything builds onto the next thing. And when you see these cars moving so quickly and in total disregard, running every red light, going through every stop sign, cutting people off right and left. It's a miracle that there hasn't been any injuries so far. We watch these things. We're always hopeful that nobody gets injured, and we just want to see that guy go, get those cuffs, get those silver bracelets, and that's the end of it. But right now, you can see we're on Rosecrans. We're back into an area that is a mixed area. There's a lot of commercial stuff out here, but there's a lot of residential as well, and more importantly, a lot more traffic.
Yeah, and slower speeds as they turn onto Woodruff Avenue. The other thing is, we don't know how many people are inside this BMW. Obviously, at least one suspect. The car is impaired. We don't know how, Stu, according to you, we don't know why the bumper is hanging off of this newer BMW.
That's right. Go ahead. We were hoping that the assignment desk would get that information for us and try to figure out how that happened. It wasn't like that in the beginning. The original stop on that car, basically, as we understand it, was some sort of traffic violation, and then it kind of bumped up, and then they realized those plates don't belong to that vehicle, and now there's information clearly that it is a stolen vehicle. So it's kind of been moving around on what the original want was, but it's very clear that this vehicle moving very, very fast this afternoon, and total disregard for anybody around them. It's amazing that this vehicle hasn't gotten in, and clearly it might have, because there's that bumper dragging off the back there, but hasn't collided with any other vehicles so far. This is what we're talking about right there. Luckily, that light probably turned green. You can see another car making a left right there, but we're going to keep an eye on it. LAPD has 2 helicopters over it right now, so they definitely want to at least know where this thing ends, and are basically coordinating with whatever law enforcement. In this case, we're going to be working our way still in the sheriff's department area. So they're definitely working with the sheriff's department. I know that the officer in that one of the helicopters was talking with California Highway Patrol earlier as well. So they're trying to coordinate an effort how they're going to bring this, how they're going to make that law enforcement appear when this vehicle comes to a stop. Hopefully it'll come to a stop under that, because that driver chooses to, and this vehicle doesn't collide with somebody innocent on the roadway.
Yeah, let's hope so, as he ducks under an overpass here. So, Stu, let's talk a little bit more about that. So the ground units have backed off because this has become obviously a public safety issue, number one. But they do have those airships up, so they are absolutely still tracking this stolen vehicle suspect.
2 feet deep.
Well, definitely. They definitely have been tracking. They have been tracking, and they probably will continue to until this thing comes to an end. Making a turn here. I thought that might have been an on-ramp, but it is not. Just give giving everybody a heads up that our bosses and the folks that are watching us at home, Skyfox has been up for quite some time, and we are probably going to be starting to need fuel here in the next maybe 10 minutes or so. Just giving everybody heads up on that. So now we are northbound 605 freeway. The speeds are definitely going to start be picking up. We've seen this pattern in the past.
Cool.
You know, I'm not 100% sure on that, but a lot of these BMWs, they're limiter, meaning that the car, if it's factory and hasn't been tampered with, probably limited at about 125 miles an hour. So that's about as fast as that car is going to go, right about the 120 mark. That bumper just flapping in the wind right there, just kind of wondering when the last pieces are going to fall off. But you can see right now he's really starting to push it again. He's well into the triple digits, weaving in and out of these out of the traffic out there, and that's probably a lot of the biggest problem. You know, that we don't want to see anything like that. But you're driving along on the freeway, Marla, or one of your friends, and you just make a lane change, and you're not thinking that, you know, you look in the mirror and you're not thinking that car's going 120 miles an hour coming up on me, and you think you're clear, you make that turn, and then it turns into a tragedy. This vehicle right now weaving back and forth. It looks like we're going to be trying to get back off the freeway again, and you know, I can't even really choose. A lot of times I say, you know, the freeway is probably safer because everybody's going the same direction, high speed, you know, at a speed. But this guy using every chance he gets, squeezing between cars. Freeway, roadway, this guy's a hazard. I just hope nobody gets hurt.
Yeah, I hope so too, of course. So yeah, we've seen him maneuver his way, blow past all these vehicles on the shoulder, weaving in and out of traffic at speeds 120 miles per hour. We've seen that plenty of times already. So we picked this up on surface streets in the Southgate area. Now we're on the northbound 605 still in the Whittier area. The want, we believe, a stolen vehicle. This did come back as a stolen vehicle. It's a four-door BMW, obviously tinted windows, if I'm not mistaken. Stu?
Definitely tinted windows. And I would venture to guess it's probably a 7 Series. If it's not a 7, it's clearly a 5. But, you know, these cars are extremely solid vehicles. They are performance vehicles. And he's clearly using every little bit of that car, even though it's not, you know, it's not his. He's driving it like he stole it, probably because he did. We also know that the license plate on that car comes back to an Audi. So they call that cold-plated. But you can see that vehicle really just kind of picking up speed northbound 605 freeway. Looking out the window, I can tell you he's going to be coming up on a lot of traffic up there, especially if he stays over there away from the #1 lane. If he's more to the right that he stays, the more traffic there's going to be. So I'm guessing he's probably going to either he's going to jump off the freeway or he's going to try to push his way through. But it's definitely starting to back up as we're making our way north out of the Whittier area. You know, here we go on the emergency lane. But also, you know, law enforcement following it. Everybody's kind of got eyes on it. But how are you going to stop it, Marla? I mean, honestly, it's like I get asked that question all the time. Do you have any ideas how you're going to bring something like this to a stop?
Right. I mean, it's usually the pit maneuver, the spike strips, but obviously he's going just way too fast. The suspect is driving just way too fast for either of those to happen. And these roadways, you put everybody else in danger. So you mentioned that he was approaching heavy traffic, and that's what we're seeing here, maneuvering off to the side to scoot by. This is the only thing that can slow this suspect down at this point, northbound 605.
Right over.
You mentioned, as we continue to watch him maneuver past the traffic here, Stu, cold-plated. Explain that.
Well, cold-plated is basically the license plate that's on that vehicle doesn't belong to that vehicle. Also, if everybody was watching right now, some people might be saying, oh, the car is smoking. That's basically dust and debris that's in the emergency lane. And also another thing is, like, when I see pursuits like this one, and they get under that emergency lane, I'm always kind of thinking to myself, you know, I hope he picks something up and just gets himself a flat tire just to bring this thing to an end. It looks like we're going to be getting off the freeway right here. There's going to be the 605. And just to make it real simple, cold-plated is the term that most law enforcement use for a license plate that does not belong to the vehicle. So basically they ran that plate. In this case, we actually heard some of that information came back to an Audi. This is clearly a BMW. So somebody had put a different license plate on this vehicle. Right now, through other information tells the law enforcement that this is a stolen vehicle. Originally, how it came about that they wanted to pull it over, that's a tough one. I think it actually was some sort of traffic violation, but we'll figure that all out later on. Right now, we're just keeping an eye on what's going on. Hopefully, nobody gets hurt, and maybe this vehicle will just come to a stop someplace. Or, you know what, Marla? Even though it's a BMW, this guy's been pushing it hard, or lady has been pushing it hard for quite some time. So possibly we might just see this vehicle run out of gas.
Yeah, and this is unconfirmed, but we're wondering what happened, why this vehicle, why the bumper of this BMW is hanging off of it. So earlier in the pursuit, unconfirmed that this suspect hit another
That's a good
vehicle.
Question. Zucchini.
That's bad. Well, hopefully that other vehicle doesn't have severe damage, and hopefully more than that, nobody has gotten hurt. It probably was. The only reason I was kind of questioning it is because of where that damage was. That could have been some sort of a pit maneuver done by another agency. Like I said, we were listening to this earlier on, and we wanted to go, but there was that we were covering the fallen deputy story, so we all decided to stay at that deputy out of respect. But clearly, you can see that this continues to move. Look at this. This is the first time we've actually seen that vehicle stop since we've been here. Don't know really. That it's kind of interesting because he could have basically made a turn in either direction, but maybe he's starting to calm down a little bit. Maybe the adrenaline is wearing off because clearly there is no black and whites. There's no law enforcement on the ground following this vehicle. Clearly a number of helicopters are, but right now there's nobody down there. This is the issue right here. It's a cul-de-sac. Yeah. So. But I can't see it from my vantage point right now to see what's going on. I really have a feeling that there is no law enforcement that's coming down the street. That would have been a good opportunity to block them in. Mm-hmm. But clearly that didn't happen right now.
Right. So the units have backed off on the ground simply because it's become a public safety issue. This suspect driving way too fast. We are now in a residential area in Whittier, currently on... is it Tomas Avenue or Tobias? Sorry, it's my distance from the camera, from the screen here is quite a few feet. So Tobias Avenue in Whittier. We're talking about how we can bring this to an end. I mean, the ground units, they backed off, as just mentioned. We have the airships above tracking the suspect, stolen vehicle suspect. Could have been involved in an earlier accident during this pursuit. We saw one of the airships go underneath our Skyfox shot there earlier. Yep. With those excessive speeds, a pit maneuver is not feasible, but they could use the spike strips as well.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of times we'll watch these pursuits and they'll have a license plate. They'll know, okay, he lives at this address. The vehicle will make their way to that address, then maybe do circles around there. And that's when the spike strips, there we go. Maybe that's when the spike strips would really come in handy. But in this case, this vehicle has not traversed the same spot twice. This started up in the Rampart area, up by Pearl Heights, and made its way all the way down here to Whittier. Drove through a shopping center right there. The pit maneuver, we both know. His driving is becoming a little bit more erratic. We both know that the pit maneuver, there's just not enough. Oh, look at this. He's going to park it. Well, almost perfect in the line. Or maybe he's going to correct it right there. No, he's just decided to drive over the curb. That's interesting. But at any rate, there we go.
Is he drunk?
Just keeping it going right there. Welcome. I don't know what that was all about. It was something interesting to see for sure. At any rate, back onto Whittier Boulevard and just kind of moving along. Still, he's getting so close to so many of these other cars. It is a stolen vehicle. We heard that from earlier on. It's just sad to think that this driver just really doesn't seem to care about what's going on around him. And also, it probably is the last thing, even on that driver's mind, is that he's probably putting himself in a lot of danger as well. Running through those areas. There we go. That might be the first of the law enforcement. Now, Whittier has their own PD, their own police department, and they, again, we assume that everybody's on that same page. They know that vehicle is in the area. We'll see what happens right now, but that cruiser definitely making a U-turn, making an effort to chase it. We're just watching this. He's driving extremely more reckless.
Oh yeah, on the other side, across those double lines. Yeah, it is nerve-wracking to watch him weave in and out of this Whittier Boulevard here in Whittier, of course. And Stu, it gave you a little bit of sigh of relief to see a black and white in our picture, but
yep,
we're unsure if
definitely
they're
fell back behind it.
Yeah.
You know, even if that officer, oh geez, here we go. Even if that officer had the reaction time that we saw, I mean, right away, lights and sirens made that turn. There's a good possibility Whittier PD also being told, do not pursue this vehicle. We heard it, like I said, wanted to get on this pursuit as soon as we heard it. We heard law enforcement tell their officers several times, do not chase that vehicle. And then when everybody backed off, somebody else saw this vehicle racing by. They got behind it, turned on their lights and sirens. Hey, we're in pursuit. And they right away, it was like, no, back off. And that's what's been going on pretty much this entire time. Looks like we're making our way back into another shopping center. I don't know if this person is trying to do one of these, bail into an area that's populated to try to blend in.
Yeah.
But you can clearly see these are the things I really don't like when they get into these bigger parking lots. You've got people that are just out there shopping or doing whatever they need to do, and you just don't expect a car to come barreling through there. Everybody's asking me. I'll put it out on the air. I probably think because we have an airport nearby, I'm guessing that we probably have another 10 to 15 on station, meaning that we have another 10 to 15 minutes to show our folks at home how long we can this chase. But after that BMW doesn't run out of fuel, we're going to have to definitely, up here in Skyfox, we're definitely going to have to go get some fuel.
Right, because earlier we were up and over the procession for the the Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy tragically killed on his motorcycle on duty this morning, and that procession was headed to the coroner's office in Boyle Heights, and we just lost the Skyfox picture. We're back, good. And so we were covering that for our viewers, and then this was already underway. So this has been going for some time, and as you say, it was really picked up near Boyle Heights.
Really, that's what we were down in the Lakewood area when this thing started, and we heard the initial chase take place. It made its way quickly out of the Boyle Heights area into the downtown Los Angeles area, and then onto a freeway, and then into South Los Angeles. And this is one of the things I was going to kind of mention earlier on. Whittier has a lot of beautiful trees out here, and I'm just hoping that he doesn't get his way into some of these streets out here. The tree lines just go for miles, literally blocks and blocks and blocks. So anyways, he's staying in these neighborhoods out here, and I can guarantee you, I'll honestly, to anybody listening right now, meaning our bosses or people at home, Adam, our pilot today, keeping us safe. Believe me, we have El Monte Airport very close by. We're definitely not going to run the helicopter out of fuel, but as soon as we have to go, we definitely will do it.
That was close.
Near miss.
Hello, officer.
Right into
right there. And this is one of those moments where you just kind of think, look at that. I wonder if that guy did that on purpose. Yeah. So anyways, this is just, and it must be so frustrating for law enforcement to have that suspect come right up on you like that, and then have your supervisors just say, yep, no, you can't, no, don't engage. So that it must be just, they're people just like you and I, and that you're telling them, don't do your job. And it must be so tough for those guys and gals in law enforcement. Right now, you can see we're in a very residential area out here, not too super familiar with Whittier, except that there's a lot of trees out here, and you can see him kind of weaving his way through there. Some stop signs, and then back into that tree-lined area, which is always an issue. Law enforcement definitely in the area. I haven't seen him pop out, Vinny. I haven't seen him pop out yet. And then LA, one of that black and white cruiser is right behind him.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw that. Yep. Yeah, there he goes. So let's see where he. Okay, he went up the street, or not.
Well, that
car's by a driveway down there, somewhere down there.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, that's the officer running.
Okay.
So Vinny's gonna keep an eye on that officer, see where he's going right there. But apparently the suspect is out of the vehicle and apparently is running. So I'm gonna get on the get on some of the radios. Push down.
That could be the suspect.
We're moving Skyfox here to get that
What is
shot
that
again
cop
with
doing?
these trees. So we're working to find him too, Marla. We definitely are.
Okay, so we're on Greenleaf Avenue here in Whittier, tree-lined street. Plenty of black and whites now stopped. We know that one officer got out of his vehicle and started chasing the suspect. We may have had eyes on him earlier, running from police here.
Stop or I'll shoot.
And is this Whittier police at this point? Stu's. Okay, yeah. So Stu is working to gather some new information.
I'm sorry, Marla.
No, that's okay. That's okay. No, there's a lot going on up there.
Right there, I believe there's some kind of pointy roof, so he might be under the trees there somewhere. I'm hoping that they're talking to Vinny right now, so I can talk to you, Marla. But we saw them running, so this thing coming to an end. And then I also understand that perfect timing for Skyfox for once in our lives, where we actually need to go get fuel like right now. And clearly, this person, the suspect, in custody, somewhere underneath one of these tree lines. And in the end, I believe it was Whittier PD that finally brought this all to an end.
Are you? Let me ask you quickly. Are you getting confirmation that the suspect has been taken into custody?
I got that from our management that he is on the ground and being taken into custody.
Oh.
Okay. Well, that's great news. Great news. This stolen vehicle suspect led authorities on quite the high-speed pursuit.
There he is. There he is, right there. Being taken. There he is, right there. Being taken into custody off of Greenleaf and Bailey. Somebody actually shouted that out to us earlier on. There you go.
All right, Greenleaf Avenue and Bailey Street in Whittier. This is where this high-speed pursuit of a stolen vehicle suspect has come to an end. We can tell you that it looked like at least one accident happened along the way. That's why the bumper was hanging off of that stolen BMW, the sedan. So we'll work to get more information about what happened along the way. But good news is that the suspect is now in custody, and we believe this is Whittier police out there. Getting them into this cruiser there. All right, Stu, I think we're going to let you go because you need to go fuel up.
Dawn.
So thank you so much.
Marla, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you soon.
Darn. My apologies, girl.
Another pursuit, but this one is different.
Yeah, we're following a U-Haul. Well, Skyfox is. Let's go to Stu up in Skyfox to give us the details.
I was trying to look for
Tony and Roxia, good morning. And I love that intro there. Another day, another pursuit. That's almost what it is out here in Southern California. But, it's a morning pursuit, so that makes it a little bit different. I think what you really were getting at, Tony, is that this is a U-Haul truck, and a big U-Haul truck at that. I was probably guessing 26-footer, and it's towing a trailer. Stolen vehicle, not sure how that works out, if this is somebody that maybe didn't return the vehicle, or it actually was stolen from somebody who rented it. Where we are right now, this is going to be the westbound 60 freeway. We're going to be south El Monte. We're kind of coming up on Rosemead Boulevard. From somebody who rented it. They're the ones that we tasked with following and trying to bring this thing to an end. If you're seeing some sparks coming out of the back of that truck right there, those that we're guessing that that's going to be some chains that are actually safety chains that are holding that trailer on there, or they're not holding the trailer on there, but they're safety chains, and that's probably what's dragging right there. Right now, this is a really big truck, and how is the California Highway Patrol going to bring this to an end? That's kind of the question. Slow moving. That's the one other thing that I can try to throw out there right at the beginning of this pursuit. You can see the miles. It was about 60 miles an hour. At one point, we almost thought it was going to come to an end during the commercial break. On the transition, we were northbound 605 when we made that transition to the westbound 60. It almost came to a stop. It was in the teens. Right now, though, light traffic. We did hear California Highway Patrol talking about thicker traffic or more traffic coming up. They were talking about that, so it is a concern for them. As far as speeds and recklessness, well, you're seeing it. He's pretty much established there, or the suspect pretty much established there in that middle lane. California Highway Patrol, they've got a number of vehicles behind him. They're talking about things that they might be able to do, but right now pretty limited because of the size of that truck and the other traffic on the freeway. Guys?
Yeah, I can't imagine them. I don't know, but it seems to me it'd be difficult to do the pit maneuver on something like that. But beyond that, Stu, you point out the size of the truck. It is a huge truck. So, this pursuit is even more dangerous in some ways than the typical ones we see, in that truck can do a lot of damage if there's an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, and that is one of the major concerns right now for California Highway Patrol. You can see the truck even slowing down once again. I kind of wonder if maybe it's a fuel issue inside that vehicle, or maybe the driver impaired. But right now 51 miles an hour, and the roads are pretty much wide open. You are right. A lot of times we kind of poke fun at these pursuits. They are, it is one of the, sometimes it's the lighter side of news, but in this case, that is really something that I was looking at when we first got here. Is if this person was driving reckless with that size vehicle, you're right. People could lose their lives, and also you can't do a pit maneuver because he's towing that trailer. That would be, I couldn't see or couldn't even understand how the California Highway Patrol could do that to bring this to an end. A lot of times they talk about size of vehicles and the pit maneuver, and like, well, can you do a pit maneuver on a big truck? Any vehicle where you can push that rear end, just start it to slide a little bit, that's going to be, that'll make that truck spin out. Will it flip over? Dan, that one I'm not really too sure about, but that's all they really have to do with that pit maneuver is kind of bump that rear end just enough to get that truck to start sliding sideways, and then that vehicle is going to spin around. The speeds, well, it does appear that they are speeding up a little bit all of a sudden again there. Traffic light right now, but this is westbound 60 freeway. We're making our way into the San Gabriel area. It is going to get a lot more dense out here, and you can see that vehicle still just kind of doing its thing. California Highway Patrol, they're doing what they do. They're switching out. I already saw another vehicle, one of them dropping, one of the California Highway Patrols dropping out, another one taking its place. As we're moving through their areas of patrol, they basically are going to be handing it off. How are they going to put spike strips out there? Well, they might make an effort, but right now it's basically just what you see right there. Warn the public, keep the public away from this vehicle, and it's going to be easier if he stays these slower speeds. Today we're having a little trouble with the Skyfox speedometer. He's definitely not doing 100 miles an hour down there, but as long as he stays away from the traffic, that's going to be the thing that keeps the public safe. If he's going slow, like 60 miles an hour, the traffic ahead of him is probably going to move out, and then they'll be able to keep the traffic behind him from coming up. But it's going to create issues for commuters, that's for sure.
There's not a whole lot of traffic yet, so he's kind of, or he or she, we don't know who the driver is, but is just kind of cruising at this point. Did see a few, it seemed, black and whites behind this U-Haul. Can you give us a better sense as, how they're following this U-Haul, and what is it looking like up ahead?
Well, looking up ahead, there is traffic, and but it's like because he's going 60 miles an hour, you can even see that right there. One of the big rigs is actually passing the pursuit. So what's going on is the traffic is ahead of them is actually lightening up because there is less and less traffic because this vehicle is going slower. That might give them the opportunity to put a spike strip out there, and that would really kind of bring this thing to an end. That larger truck, those tires, it would really make it difficult for that big rig or that U-Haul, that 26-footer, to be able to travel or even maneuver. Right now, though, they got 4 officers from California Highway Patrol in their vehicles behind him. And again, very kind of erratic speeds out here, slowing down like almost, and we basically watch him slow down, and then he speeds up, slows down, then speeds up. There you go, another California Highway Patrol switching it out. So they're going to keep doing this until this thing comes to an end. All right,
Stu, so we're going to keep a watch on what's going on here from our eye in the sky. We're going to bring in Dennis Zine, retired LAPD. We like to talk to Dennis when things like this are going on because, of course, he provides other expert information on and perspective on what's happening. Dennis, this is a different sort of pursuit, I would imagine, that presents unique challenges. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, it definitely does. The size of that vehicle traveling down the roadway definitely presents problems. I assume it's stolen, and what cargo they have, I don't know if we determine what is in that particular truck, but it does present a lot of challenges, problems for the officers, problems for the public, problems for people on the road. Using that vehicle to ram something would obviously be pretty easy. That plus the trailer. I don't think in that type of vehicle the spike strip would be very effective. So hopefully something will happen prior to a collision, but the officers will continue with the pursuit, continue getting other units involved. I don't know if law enforcement does have an air unit overhead. I know that Sky Fox is overhead, and oftentimes other stations that work together as far as coordinating. But the roadway looks pretty quiet, and there's a good part on a pursuit on a freeway is you don't have pedestrians, bicycles, parked vehicles,
Now I'm
etc. You don't
irritated
have cross
myself for
traffic, so
timing you out.
it's relatively easy. Then you have the traffic congestion, which oftentimes will happen at 5:22 in the morning. Pretty light right now, but I think it will be, if it doesn't come to an end soon, as the traffic starts to build on the freeway, then we have some problems and some consequences if that individual decides to ram a vehicle or decides what they want to do. Obviously, you have enough units involved, enough CHP units involved. So in this particular situation on the freeway at that speed, it's not an excessive speed as we see. They'll hold on. They'll just continue with that, and they'll transfer units if they go to different jurisdictions. I just tuned in, so I don't know how long it's been going. But obviously, if you want to have a pursuit, this type of vehicle, the freeway is much easier, much safer for everyone involved, and obviously bring this to a conclusion as quickly as possible and as soon as possible.
Well, what are some of the options? Some people who are watching this are thinking, well, why don't they just, do a pit maneuver? Is that even possible on a vehicle like this? Why don't they somehow stop the pursuit on its tracks? Like, why do we have to wait until, I don't know, the car runs out of gas? What are some options that the police officers
Yeah, I tried
have?
timing it myself out one
they
time.
have certain procedures and policies
And
that they have to
message
follow.
board came
Number
up
one,
and
with
said,
this type
"Oh,
of
no,
vehicle,
you
you're
broke
not going to be able to do a
YouTube."
pit maneuver on a vehicle this size. You also have to concern yourself with the safety of the person who is in the stolen vehicle. You've got to concern yourself with that. What is in that cargo? Are there people in there? Are they transporting people? What type of goods are in that particular vehicle? Do they know? So they have to just sit tight and watch and observe, get air units involved.
Could
which
be
is
hauling
important to have that coverage from the air. But at
cannabis
this
plants.
particular time, you don't see excessive speed and you don't see traffic. So it's kind of like sit back and hold on. Hopefully an individual will come to a stop or jump out and abandon. But the problem is you're talking about a large vehicle. You don't know if they have determined, I don't know if they determined what is in the vehicle, what kind of cargo's in the vehicle. That's all this is of concern. So there's a lot of factors, but they'll just sit tight, they'll hold on, and hopefully the person will come to a stop eventually. But they're not going to do a ram. I doubt if they use a spike strip on a vehicle that size, not very effective. So right now they're just going to hold tight, and we see the traffic is extremely light, which is a benefit for everybody. But once you get into the morning traffic on the freeway with a vehicle this size, there's no telling what happens. So it's a concern about safety of the officers, of the public, even the people who are operating the stolen vehicle. It's a concern for their safety also.
Okay, it's hard to see exactly what's going on, but it looks like the vehicle is now exiting onto the 5 freeway. So we're keeping an eye and close tabs on what's going on. Obviously, Dennis, we still see the cruisers tracking this vehicle. At one, he's on the 5 North, or she. We're not sure, what the gender is. But at what point, if, say, for instance, and we've seen this happen, the driver starts to drive erratically, at what point do the cruisers say, let's just back off for public safety considerations?
So that'll be a concern. That'll be a concern. The supervisors who are involved in this will say, okay, it's getting too dangerous. Let's back off. Let's terminate. Let's do a tracking mode. Let's do whatever we have to do to preserve public safety. We can always monitor from the
Let me know
sky,
when you're back.
have units that can apprehend when that vehicle does come to a stop. But ultimately, the safety of the general public is paramount. And we've seen of late many pursuits where there have been some tragedies involved. They don't want that to happen. So obviously,
If you're still
with the
listening.
use of air units, which we have sufficient units from the local law enforcement, the county sheriff, the highway patrol, the media, the air units. I mean, we can keep track, especially a vehicle this size. It's going to be very, very difficult, and not impossible, to hide a vehicle this size. So there is the opportunity to observe and wait till it comes to a stop. It's going to run out of gas eventually, but they don't want to jeopardize public safety. A vehicle this size colliding with a passenger vehicle would be very, very dangerous. So we don't know what their motivation is, intention. I don't know, Tony, if they determine what cargo is in that particular vehicle. There's a lot of possibilities for that also. So they need to determine that.
Yeah, you know, that's interesting that you brought that up. The fact that we don't know what is inside of that vehicle. You also brought up people, which I hadn't thought about. But yes, you're right. As far as if they come into contact with this U-Haul, and we have no idea what's going on inside. So out of safety and precaution, they're just kind of hanging back. And at this point, it's kind of like a watch and wait. Dennis,
Exactly.
Stay on the line for a moment. Let's bring in Stu so he can just kind of update us on where we are right now. Where are we located?
Well, we're northbound 5 freeway. We're getting up to Boyle Heights. We're coming up to USC County General area. While Dennis was there, I got some time. I'm watching on Facebook. Getting like the questions that a lot of the folks at home, because Roxy, you brought it up. It's everybody's got to do those armchair. Why aren't they doing this and why aren't they doing that? A lot of the questions that that I've been seeing down there is pretty much just that. And why aren't they blocking traffic in the front and trying to slow that vehicle down? Well, that's a large vehicle and that could possibly ram one of those officers' trucks or vehicles. So that would put officer safety in play. And then also they don't want to block this vehicle in because then all of a sudden that driver, that suspect, could use that vehicle as a weapon, and that puts that actually puts that suspect in a position where he might do something or she might do something to injure an officer or themselves. So that's the reason why they don't do that. If you're looking at the speedometer this morning, it is a little off, and everybody knows, anybody on the freeways in Los Angeles, if you're going 54, there's an issue. And in this case, that vehicle is moving so slow that there is really no traffic in front of it, because all the traffic in front of it is moving at freeway speeds. So the officers right now, they're in trail. We did just watch them do that swap out again from the East LA units to the South LA, the downtown Los Angeles units right there. But basically right now, all they can do is kind of follow behind. I heard Dennis say that the spike strip's not in play in this one. Well, we'll see. There's a good opportunity for them to actually try to deploy them, and just bringing those some of those big tires, make those big tires flat on that truck. That's going to bring that thing to a stop, or
passenger side
that
front.
Process. One of the other things too is I've been noticing on Facebook, a lot of people commenting that a lot of U-Hauls getting stolen. What's up with that? And somebody actually says they work at U-Haul, says they actually get that a lot as well.
Flames.
Not sure if this is one of those ones where just isn't returned, or perhaps it is full with somebody's belongings. We really just don't know. Right now, though, we're still northbound 5 freeway. We're actually leaving the Boyle Heights area, so we're getting over by Dodger Stadium. The 110 freeway is going to be an option here in a moment or two. But you can see that vehicle. The word meandering comes into mind. It does seem like it is just moving very, very slow on the freeway this morning. If they continue on the 5, even at these speeds, as we get up into the Los Feliz area, out there by the by the 134, it's really going to start getting backed up. And I am personally concerned, even though this vehicle's been moving slow, nothing very reckless. I'm just kind of going to get worried when he gets around other vehicles. That is a huge truck, and because he's driving so slow, you just got to wonder, is that driver all there? So anyways, that's where we are, and that's what's happening. Guys?
All right, it's 5:30, and for those of you who are just joining us, welcome to Good Day LA, and you are tuning into breaking news right now. We have a stolen U-Haul truck, a big one, as you can see, that also has a trailer attached to it. It has been going on now for quite a while. It is on the 5 freeway near Dodger Stadium right now. We have Stu Mundell up in Skyfox keeping track of things. We also have retired LAPD officer Dennis Zine on the phone. And Dennis, I want to ask you about the swapping out of officer cars. Why did they do that? Why did they bring in new ones? Why do others trail off? What's going on with that?
Well, when they go to different jurisdictions, the state, like the local cities, we've got Los Angeles, and then we've got Downey and Beverly Hills, Culver City, et cetera, different jurisdictions. Well, on the state highway, there's different jurisdictions that cover the state highway system. So what they'll do is go from one jurisdiction to the other, so they'll switch off. Or vehicles running low on fuel, that's why they have multiple vehicles involved in these pursuits, so someone else can then take over. But when they travel for great distances, say you go from San Francisco down to San Diego, you're going to different jurisdictions, and they'll switch off. Someone will then terminate, and then they'll continue with other units from other jurisdictions from the state. So in other words, if you're in pursuit in San Francisco and you're heading south, On the 5, there will be a number of switch-offs as they continue southbound. So they keep them within their local jurisdictions. We're not going to take a unit from San Francisco and send them all the way down to LA. So they do that as they travel, because the state is broken up into different CHP offices. And also the cars, as they're running low on fuel, these officers have been out there working the graveyard shift. So their fuel may be low. So they want to make sure they've got a fresh unit in there in pursuit, continuing with this. And they have backup units that will switch out. So normally when they go from different jurisdictions, from the West LA, the Santa Fe, whatever the case may be, and they've got the state broken up into different color codes for the different offices that the CHP runs throughout California.
Okay, Dennis, stay on the line and we'll continue to chat with you. Let's go to Stu. Just taking a look at this. It's 5:33 in the morning, obviously, so traffic is light, but that can quickly change and it can become a very different scene in a matter of just a few minutes, really, because traffic will pick up. Talk a little bit about and show us what it looks like. It doesn't look very crowded from this vantage point, and we do see the black and whites trailing the U-Haul.
Well, that's right. And right now we're still northbound 5. We're passing the 2 freeway. Didn't take the 2. You see that's kind of in the center lanes right there. So that's going to put us in the Atwater Village area, Los Feliz, depending upon what side of the freeway you're on. California Highway Patrol still just basically trailing behind, but they might be trying to do something else. And, you know, you were talking about that, about the light traffic. Well, one of the reasons is that truck is moving so slow that the traffic that was in front of it has basically just moved on. It's way far ahead. And the California Highway Patrol, that vehicle is actually doing its own traffic brake because it's moving so slow. The officers are not allowing any of the vehicles behind it to basically pass. So it's creating its own type of traffic brake. Also, California Highway Patrol, we know, Vinny was just pointing it out with his pictures just moments ago, they are blocking some of the on-ramps until this passes. So that's actually creating, like you said, a very open freeway. This could give them the opportunity to possibly do a spike strip type of situation. That'll be the only thing that they might be able to do. Looks like we're exiting right there. It's going to be Los Feliz Boulevard. So this is going to take a little bit of a turn here, and not to do a play on words, as we're getting off the freeway. This is going to be an entirely different type of situation. If we're on the roadways, much more narrow, that's a big truck. Also, one of the things that has been in play and discussion up here, maybe one of the reasons why that vehicle moving so slow, maybe that's it. Maybe that vehicle is so loaded that it's unable to move any faster. We saw this earlier on at the transition road, dropping down into the teens as he's making his way on that off-ramp. Maybe he's trying to make a decision. Maybe that vehicle just can't go any faster. Well, but again, this is going to take a change here as we're getting off the freeway.
Okay, so he's getting off Los Feliz Boulevard, the northbound 5, right? So if he goes right, he's traveling more towards Glendale, and if he goes left, he's traveling more toward Hollywood. And it looks like he's going to be going toward Hollywood.
Yeah, and you know, this is one of those ones where if he doesn't just get right back onto the freeway, it's going to get really tight. Los Feliz, big road, but all the others, all the little offshoots, it gets really, really tight unless he gets onto Vermont or something like that. This also changes the whole dynamic of this pursuit. Looks like we are just getting back onto the freeway, which I'm saying it really, truly is a sigh of relief.
Hour and 45 minutes.
Anaheim, Fullerton area. Yeah, definitely.
All right. So you know,
is it dangerous? Well, if he starts to drive off the freeway or starts to try to maneuver that vehicle, we're going to see a lot different type of driving, especially if he tries to turn it. That truck is going to go straight well before it starts to turn.
Stu, is there a way to do the windows? I can't tell. Are they tinted? It's kind of hard to make out. Is there a way to zoom in and maybe we can get a better look?
Well, Vinny is, he is a true professional, and I love having him on the camera. Pushing in right there, trying to get a look at the driver. Take a look at that little bit of fire down there on the actually by the rim. That might actually be something other than just the fiberglass. There's oils down there. There's brake fluid. That tire jamming up down there, it could have created a lot of damage. Could have ripped the brake line open, and now he's actually spewing a little bit of oil. And also, if it is a brake line that we're actually looking at that's burning, or that's the oil from the brakes, you got to think it doesn't work wheel to wheel to wheel. All the wheels work off of one reservoir, so he might be losing brake fluid. That's also going to add to this the drama. he won't be able to stop this thing. So you won't be able to turn and you won't be able to stop, at least with the brakes. I'm sure there's other ways you can try to bring this thing to a stop, but that fire definitely not going out. I wouldn't have guessed that, but a little bit of fire down there definitely growing, and you just got to wonder what the fuel is that's keeping that fire going right there. And you can see it just kind of hanging out there on the backside of the rim. If it does stop, is that fire going to just basically catch fire to the wheel well? Is the fire, or is it just oil? But definitely parts of the tire still coming off there. A little bit of rubber now just fell off. So we're gonna. The only thing I can say is we're watching. I'm really starting to wonder what's going on. And of course, we know this vehicle disabled, definitely disabled. It's definitely going to be much more difficult to control. And maybe that fire that we're seeing right there is actually the tire. What's left of the tire is burning. We know that we've seen it in the past. Tire fires, they burn for a long time. Once they get started, it's hard to put it out. But right now, those flames continue to get a little bit larger and larger. And I'm just really curious what it is that's burning.
Well, Dennis, as we
in flame
in the vehicle and
it lost
driven by a male.
Lost in
we do know that the vehicle was originally stolen out
I think
of
maybe
Irvine.
this is the one I
That
watched.
report was taken by the Irvine Police Department. During the course of our investigation, we'll actually be contacting the Irvine Police Department and working with them as well.
All right, we have a full-on fire here. Stu, pick it up. Tell us what's going on.
Well, we're just watching, and you guys watched it live here as well. It's like that fire really started to pick up. Something changed in there. This is actually, you can see all that black smoke. That's going to be some sort of fed fire, meaning there's oils or something burning. That means something has cut loose underneath that truck, meaning an oil line or a brake line. We're moving Skyfox around a little bit. Those trees were blocking us in moments ago. But the deal is that fire is very well established. If this truck comes to a stop, that fire is not just going to be blowing back like that. It's
Ultimately end up in your custody.
As of right now, it looks that way, but other things could transpire to dictate otherwise.
You don't know who this individual is, correct? There has been no information as far as any background to this person.
That's correct. We have no idea who this individual is.
What about the company itself? Has it been able to provide you with any information, since we know that the truck was stolen out of Irvine? And look, the fire now has erupted a lot more now, and I don't know how this truck can possibly continue.
That person's going to need to come
rim
out of that.
looks like it's
much
melting.
longer. I mean, this is a really dangerous situation. I don't know if you're actually watching this as you're commenting on it, Sergeant Escamilla, but this clearly is going to be coming to a close here soon. I mean, it has to. I mean, the fire has gotten really bad here. So you really don't know much at all about this.
and we're hearing them talk about,
Get down, they'll start doing a search of
got over that wall and we kind of lost him in the
they got
trees.
him.
He could have clearly changed clothes, and you saw him just kind of playing this nonchalant, walking across the parking lot, and then officers, taking him into custody. The fact that he was fighting those officers, if you're just walking and these officers come running up, you're going to be like, oh, what's up? But this guy clearly was resisting a little bit there. So it kind of leads you to believe that this is the suspect, and of course now complying. So it definitely seems that they did get the right guy.
All right. Well, certainly, officers and Stu, you know from past experience, body language is everything.
Yes.
And you watch how these officers are reacting to whatever's going on at the moment. And we saw that flurry of activity there. We eventually saw them taking down this person to the ground, and now the person's in custody. And now it seems as though the officers
He needs to get
just
his,
moments before had their guns drawn, seem to be much more at ease,
mental
and
health
things seem to
check.
be much more calm. Is that your reading of the situation, Stu?
Well, definitely that suspect in cuffs, and basically you can kind of just read his body language. It's defeat, and we all knew that's where it was going to end. And thank goodness nobody was hurt, including that suspect. If he would have waited much longer inside that vehicle, firefighters will tell you that smoke is what's deadly. The fire is gonna hurt you, but the smoke might kill you long before that fire gets to you. And that was thick black smoke. So in the end, it ended the best best way. That suspect
Okay,
in custody.
folks, I'm
Nobody
gonna
was
end
seriously
this
hurt. Sadly, U-Haul lost one
soon.
of their vehicles, but
Cold
this is
Steel,
pretty much the best
Tony,
outcome for
Don.
this chase.
All right. Well, this pursuit is
Appreciate
certainly
you coming in.
coming to an end in a
Anybody
way
that watches
that
this,
the best
Yeah,
possible
Skybox.
way. Obviously, the best way would have been for the
thumbs
person
up
not to have stolen the truck to begin with. But
if you're new.
since that did not occur and
At
the
least
truck
no
was
one got
Like,
stolen,
hurt. I mean,
yeah, that's the best possible
That's
outcome.
best
No one
part.
got hurt. That truck, as big as it is, 26 footer, the largest you can rent from you all, could have done a lot of damage had it crashed into anything. But the truck itself, obviously destroyed.
There
As you can see,
what's left of it.
there's not much left of the cab itself. So Dennis Zine, I'm going to bring you back in now.
All right,
This again.
Just want to
we
say
want to
thank
tell
you
you
for your
that-
time this morning and
Exactly.
spending the last almost 2 hours with us.
Also, Sergeant Escamilla from the Buena Park PD, want to thank him for his commentary and insight, as well. And Stu Mundell, of course, excellent work
On the
up in the
Skybox.
Again, thanks for all coming in. Love and respect to everybody. Aloha. And I'll see you again.